it gives me great pleasure to introduce our first speaker of the night. It's PAWEL Potasinski, and if I've got that wrong, he's going to tell me off in a minute. He is a member of the Microsoft Fabric community team. He's focused on community management and engagements. In his professional career, he's always been associated with data engineering and analytics, such as SQL, BI, and big data, and was founder of the Polish SQL Server Users Group, PLSSUG. I presume it's pronounced like that, Paweł, rather than PLSUG. Anyway, it's today known as the Data Community Poland. He's a regular speaker at conferences, community events and users, and he's a former Microsoft Most Valuable Professional. So welcome aboard, Paweł. I'd like to say hi and bring you into the thing. I'm just going to unmute you. I've just realised I've not done that yet. You can unmute yourself, I think, actually. So welcome. You are now live, my friend.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope my slides are visible as well.
I'm just going to put them in. I'm going to put them up, so they're going to be showing right now. Just give you 1 second. They're up now.
Awesome. Okay, so hello, Excel Virtually Global Community. I'm delighted to welcome you to the first session of the day on Microsoft Fabric for Microsoft 365 users. And the purpose of this session is to give you an overview of what Microsoft Fabric is, how you can think of it by analogy to M365, how you can benefit from it and integrate it with M365 products. As Liam mentioned, my name is PAWEL Potasinsky. I work on the Fabric community team, so presenting for the community is part of my job. But hey, I used to work. I used to do this stuff not as a part of my job. So I used to be an MVP on SQL Server Data Platform as well. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and Twitter. And now let's go to the topic of the day. So the agenda is pretty much straightforward. First, I will briefly explain what Microsoft Fabric is and why Microsoft created it. Then I will cover analogies between Fabric and M365. And finally, I will walk through how Fabric integrates with M365 products. And also, I will give you some homework. So let's start with what Microsoft Fabric is and why it was created, and maybe why you should care. So let's start with how the world looks today. So the value of data has become obvious to organizations around the world. These organizations are constantly looking for opportunities to use data to support business processes, create new sources of revenue, and build competitive advantages. And for that, they need different types of analytics, from descriptive analytics of historical data to predictive analytics or even prescriptive analytics, which is driving actions from insights. Ideally, they need to achieve some maturity in these types of analytics quickly and without too much focus on building and maintaining the IT infrastructure. So again, going from left to right means that the organization reaches some higher level of maturity in analytics. And actually, this is why Microsoft created Fabric, to provide a single platform for all kinds of analytics and to simplify the way people in organizations work with data to bring insights and take data-driven actions. Fabric is a unified platform that provides everything that you need for data analytics, from data integration and data lake to the business user working with Office. So it includes data integration, data engineering, data warehousing, data science, real-time analytics, business intelligence, and even more, because with our latest announcement of Data Activator, it also provides a way to trigger actions based on some events in data. Fabric is delivered as a single software as a service product that provides automatic integration and optimization, common architecture, central management, and the same user interface for all roles and workloads in the analytical projects. To create Fabric, we integrated Power BI, the top one BI platform on the planet, with next generations of Azure Data Factory and Azure Synapse Analytics. They all use one common architecture, and there is no need to integrate those services anymore. And also they offer some new capabilities. I will show some of them today. Actually, every experience in Fabric works seamlessly with OneLake, which is a central data lake for the whole platform. By that, we minimize the data management time and effort by eliminating data duplication. Now, just like M365, Fabric provides a unification of many things. So I mentioned that we have common storage for our workloads, unified data format also on this data storage, but also we have one trial for our workloads. We have a single sign-on, one sign-on experience, the same user interface experience for all workloads. Also, if you used to work with Power BI, you will see common interface and also some common artifacts like workspaces, for example. There will be one CI/CD, so continuous integration, continuous deployment option for all items in our workloads. It's not there yet. Keep in mind that Fabric is still in public preview, so not everything is covered at the moment, but it's coming. And also there is unified security model, very much integrated with what you see in M365 as well. And I'll maybe show you some aspects of it. So one important note here, in Microsoft 365, different apps, for example, Excel and PowerPoint, serve for different purposes, but many activities in these programs are performed by the user in the same way. For example, spell checking, copying and pasting, text formatting, and more, right? So both those programs have some common foundations, like for example, Microsoft Information Protection, which you can use to protect your information or data stored within documents. And thanks to this, knowing one application allows you to find yourself in the other. So we want to achieve a similar effect in Fabric for users working on data analytics. That's another analogy to M365. So you need to understand the principles of Fabric. There are 4 of those principles. 1, it's a complete analytics platform covering all analytics workloads, served as software as a service model, centrally managed and easy to use. Second, it's lake-centric and open, which means there is a central data repository. We eliminate need to copy data, and we use open data formats that makes Fabric easy to integrate with other platforms, not just Microsoft products. Third principle, it's a platform fully integrated with the application ecosystem for business users. Hey, the topic of today's session, actually. So you will see intuitive and familiar interfaces at some point. And the number 4, which is not the topic of today's session, but it's coming soon, it will be using AI to increase the productivity of each user in each role on the platform. So data engineer and data analyst will get Copilot to create code or reports. Business user will get model support in extracting information from reports and data. So just like you have Copilot in M365, you will have Copilot in all aspects of Fabric. Now, Fabric actually is just like M365 is used by users working in a variety of roles. Fabric addresses the needs of many different roles working with data and analytics, from users who use code-based approach, like data engineer or data scientist, through roles focused on data management and governance, to consumers of data and insights preferring low-code or no-code experience in their work. So again, if you work with M365, you can be a CFO, but you can be also a salesperson, and you will use probably a bit different portion of the platform, and you will perform different actions, different documents, etc. So how to think about Fabric and its components? So let's start with OneLake, which is a key feature, one of my favorite actually, and actually it's a baseline of Fabric. So OneLake aims to provide a single data lake as a service without you needing to build it yourself. For years, you've had OneDrive for all your documents. So now you have one lake for all your data, a single data lake for the entire organization. It comes as a unified logical data lake for the whole organization. It comes with automatically whenever you have your Microsoft Fabric tenant, there is already one lake assigned to be a single place for all your analytics data, just like OneDrive is a single place for all your documents. So there is always one lake for each tenant. In one lake, the data come as part of data items, and many Fabric data items are pre-wired to store data in one lake using open file formats. You may be familiar with one of those data items. If you've ever used Power BI, you probably are familiar with datasets. Fabric brings several new data items, like, for example, a fully transactional data warehouse for SQL developers or a lakehouse for data engineers. And the lakehouse actually provides the most lake-like experience. I will show you how the lakehouse may look like in my demo. No matter which item you start with, they will all store their data in one lake, similar to how Word, Excel, and PowerPoint save documents in OneDrive. If we look how the data is stored in one lake, you're going to see data items and workspaces. But if you look under the hood, there'll be folders and files. And we picked Delta format, which is an open source format, as our standardized format to make this platform open for integration with external platforms. Also, OneLake is built on top Azure Data Lake Storage Generation 2. That means that it can easily integrate with applications that already exist and used to work with ADLS, Azure Data Lake Storage. So again, we are open to integrate easily with platforms like, for example, Azure Databricks. Now, the big story is about OneLake is also built around shortcuts. Shortcut is a symbolic link. It's like you have shortcuts in your operating system. You point to some existing files, but you don't copy the file and just use the link to start the file. The same applies to shortcuts in OneLake. So, for example, if you want to have a table from your warehouse in your newly created lakehouse, you just create a shortcut. You don't need to copy data from your warehouse. So you don't need to have multiple copies of the same data in different data items. Also, you can use shortcuts to consolidate data across workspaces. Workspace is a kind of logical folder for storing your data items. It may also delegate permissions and have its own owners driving what's going on in the workspace. So it's actually important to provide this way of collaboration and data sharing between different teams and different parts of organizations working with different workspaces. But that's not all. You can also use shortcuts to link and virtualize your existing cloud storages. So you can imagine that you could, for example, attach your Dropbox files to OneDrive. This is pretty much what it's all about. You can have your files stored in Azure Data Lake or Amazon S3 buckets, and still you can access those files using virtualized layer of OneLake because you can create shortcuts to those storages. Everything is accessible for the user using a single uniform namespace. Now you may ask question, but what about organizations which require data to be stored in specific regions? Power BI tenant typically used to work within a single Azure region. So what about OneLake? Well, OneLake can be regionally dispersed. So it can use different Azure regions to store data. You can define multiple capacities, backing up workspaces, and by that, OneLake will store data in specific Azure regions, which you will decide where the data lands actually. and everything is virtualized. So still you will be seeing just folders and files, but you will have this guarantee that the data is stored as you require in specific locations. Now, I mentioned that in Fabric you work with items, with data items. So here are some of the most often used items you can find in different experiences of Fabric. So for example, you will use data flows generation 2, an updated data flows known from Power BI, to ingest and transform data from different sources at scale. You can use pipelines to ingest data and orchestrate processes, including data flows. You can use lakehouses or warehouses to store and manage and serve your data. Depending on the skills and preferences, you can use notebooks to play with data using Python and different languages supported by Spark, or you can leverage SQL-based approach with stored procedures, function, and views created within your warehouse. Well, that's just a part of the story, because in user interface, we provide some simplifications to create a code for you. For example, in warehouse experience, you can work with graphic design of queries. So again, we support low code and no code experience users, just because we understand that not everyone is skilled Python or SQL developer. And all that is using one platform with common user interface, full integration out of the box. And in addition, soon your work in Fabric will be supported with Copilot for every experience. So starting with Power BI, we will see people working with Power BI supported in report creation, people working with Spark supported in developing notebooks, etc. Now let's watch a quick video on how this will look like from the Power BI perspective, because as I mentioned, Power BI is the first experience where we introduce Copilot.
Introducing the next generation of AI in Microsoft Power BI. Copilot in Power BI empowers your people to unlock the full potential of your data and move from data to insights faster. Now, with Copilot in Power BI, you can use natural language to bring your data to life. Simply describe the visuals and insights you're looking for, and next generation AI will create your report and help you refine it. You can then dig into this data further by asking a question, and Copilot will find the best answer. Not only does Copilot help you visualize your data, but it taps into Power BI's advanced analysis capabilities to help you find key influencers and outliers and create forecasts. Copilot can summarize your data into easy-to-understand text narratives that help others quickly get important and relevant insights. And for analysts who are creating calculations and modeling data, you can simply describe what you want, and the code is automatically generated. With Copilot in Power BI, turning data into impact has never been easier.
Yeah, so I think the exciting times are coming to not just Power BI, but Fabric. I hope you enjoy what you probably also have seen about Copilot in M365 as well, because let's be honest, Copilot will just become common in some nearest time. So now let me switch to the demo, and I will show you some how to start with Fabric and some basic capabilities, just to give you this look and feel of the platform. So this is actually Fabric user interface. It's pretty much similar to what you probably have seen with Power BI. I'd say the only difference is here in the bottom left corner of the screen, where you have this little Power BI icon. I can use this icon to switch between experiences. Well, that's very similar to what you use in M365 to switch between different M365 apps. Actually, you can still do it using Fabric. So in top left corner, you can switch between Fabric and M365. In bottom left corner, you are still remaining in Fabric, switching between different personas or experiences, how we call them. So typically, you start with Power BI experience turned on. Now, to have this icon showing up, administrator of the tenant needs to go to the admin portal and make sure that this option here, users can create Fabric items, is enabled at least for a specific group of users. Now, let's go and do some work with analytics in Fabric. So I will start with creating a new workspace. Workspace, as I mentioned, is this boundary of work for a team or a group of people. Let's say a folder to keep data items and the parts of your analytical projects. Let me call this workspace demo. Now, the big part in Fabric is that you need to use specific license mode. Either it should be a trial, which you can use for 60 days for free, no credit card required, or it should be premium capacity, which you probably know from Power BI. And the third option is to use Fabric capacity, which you can spin up in Azure, and soon you will be able to buy using M365 actually administration portal. Now I will use my trial to create this workspace. So as simple as that, right? Now, when I have my workspace, I can start working with data items. I can create data items. I can load the data and try to analyze it. I will try to analyze some data. So you will notice that depending on which experience you're in, you will see different items available in the new and under the new button. So with Power BI, I can create Power BI specific items, but there is this little button, more options, which will switch you to the create hub, where you can create pretty much everything related to Fabric. So it's actually everything is divided among different experiences, and I will start with a lakehouse. So let me call it demo lakehouse. Now, you can ask yourself what actually is going on here, what's happening. So I started my lakehouse, no provisioning, no storage created, because as you might know from my presentation, OneLake is already there. So I just created some data item in OneLake, and I can now store some data and analyze some data. So OneLake comes with two sections. One is called files, and it's for so-called unmanaged. It's an unmanaged part of Lakehouse. You store raw files in there. But whenever you come with some analytics, I'd say you will go into tables, just like you normally do it with Excel. You move to table representation of your data. So let me start with loading some simple file to the files section. I will create a subfolder just to show you that it's possible to have some structure of the folders in your files section, and then I will upload just one file to this folder. Products. All right. So I hope, but yeah, my products CSV file is uploaded here. You may ask, hey, why not Excel? Excel is coming. I will show you also some demo with Excel. So if I was a data engineer, probably in the Lakehouse, I would start a notebook, which is a development experience. So I will start a new notebook. No worries, I will not try to code Python here. Just to show you how data engineer could start working with this uploaded file, I will start new notebook and just simply drag and drop newly uploaded file to the user interface of my notebook, and that's it. You can just fire this code and load your CSV file into an object called data frame, which is quite common object for data engineers working with Spark. As I said, I'm not going to work with Spark, just to show you how quickly you can spin up your lakehouse, how quickly you can start seeing your data and starting working with this data. That's it. Now let's go with low code experience, because I don't want to bother you with some code. Code may not be that interesting here. So I will close my notebook, and instead of using a notebook, I will just right click on the file and use the interface to load this product CSV file to new table. Let me call it products. Now this works for specific types of files. Right now, this will work for CSV or Parquet files. In the future, you may expect the portfolio of files to be expanded for this little trick. So immediately after I click this, under the scenes, there is some magic happening, and I will have my table containing all the data from the product CSV file, which I could even take a look at the data which is stored in this specific file. But here I have my table. Okay, so now I mentioned in my presentation that OneLake actually is a kind of virtualized storage, but you should see folders and files in it. So let's switch to another experience. I will leave the browser and I will open my Windows Explorer, because you can install additional application called OneLake File Explorer, which gives you this experience. This is an overview of my OneLake. I will sync it with my PC. So I can use my PC just like you work with OneDrive to upload the data to OneDrive. You can do the same using this simple application, OneLake File Explorer, to upload your data to your lakehouses. So for example, if I want to upload some file to my newly created demo lakehouse, I just navigate to the demo workspace, demo lakehouse files section, and I can create folders, I can upload files. Let me just quickly upload a simple graphics. This will be fabric icon to this lakehouse. And as you can see, this is not much different from what you have in OneDrive. So let's go back to the browser, and let me see if my file landed in my lakehouse. See, my fabric icon is here. So you can actually use this user interface to quickly upload your data to the lakehouse and then proceed with analytics. Okay. I also mentioned that there is this concept of one copy. We don't want data to be copied between different data items. Imagine that I know that some of my peers from the company has already created a table that is that should work with my the products dimension or product table, and it's located in a different lakehouse. What I can do is I can create a shortcut in my lakehouse that will point to another lakehouse. Yes, EVG lakehouse, Excel virtually global. And I just click next and point to the table called orders. That contains orders in my company. And just in a few seconds, without copying the data, I have orders table available in this lakehouse. Now, what does it mean actually for me as a user? It means that now I can start querying this data. So I can switch to SQL experience of the lakehouse. And if I know SQL, I can write a query which will join those two tables and bring me some insights. So for example, I want to find out how much sales I have for specific categories of products. You can see that I can even preview the data, right? So let me just use ready-to-use query that I prepared previously before this session. Hopefully, it will allow me to switch to the query experience. Let me paste my select statement. Again, this is just one technique. I will show you the second in a second, and I will run this. And hey, I've just joined data that I uploaded to this lakehouse with some data that somebody else prepared in another lakehouse or warehouse, whatever, and I can see the results, which is even I can do even more. I can visualize this result. Oh, sorry, I need to select single query. I can visualize this result in Power BI immediately after I execute this select statement. So as easy as that, I can see that, hey, categories have that much sales. And I can visualize it as specific chart type. So boom, from data to insights in a few seconds. If you want to make this robust and prepared for serving to external users, to your business users, you probably will also do some modeling. So hey, you can do data modeling just like you do in Power BI For example, by creating some relationships between tables that you know are related. For example, I know that product ID in one table corresponds to product ID in another table, so I can drag and drop one column to another, and I can create a relationship. That will give you immediate effect when people start building reports, because now, if I click on the new report, and I will see those two tables in my model, I can select a category, and I can immediately calculate, without writing any SQL code, how much sales is for each category, just because I created a relationship between those two tables. Easy as that. Okay, so I hope you got the point. From data to insights in just like 3-4 minutes. That was my first demo. Let me switch to the slides, because now let's have a look on how those two platforms integrate, how Fabric integrates with M365. And yeah, so let me walk you through some of the scenarios. I'm pretty sure those are not all scenarios possible, and I encourage you to try out how Fabric integrates with M365 on your own. So let's start with Data Factory. First, let's have a look at how you can bring M365 data to Fabric data items. So here you can use data flows generation tool to connect to SharePoint online lists, Microsoft Exchange Online, Excel workbooks, including those stored on OneDrive. And also you can run Microsoft Teams personal analytics, so just your data in Teams. Okay, but you can also configure Microsoft Graph Data Connect in Azure, and that will give you the access to M365 data using pipelines in Fabric. So again, you have some ways to bring M365 data to Fabric for sure. But that's not all, because you can also use another ways of integration, because you actually use M365 applications for productivity, for example, for collaboration. So probably you will be tempted to also have some notifications sent from data pipelines, for example, ingesting your data to Fabric, because you would like to know when the pipeline fails, and that can be easily done with activities, Teams and Office 365 Outlook activities in pipelines. Now, there is also another feature in general covering whole Fabric, because for the workspace you can define something called Workspace OneDrive. The Workspace OneDrive feature actually allows you to configure a Microsoft 365 group whose SharePoint document library is available to Workspace users. As simple as that. Let's move to the Clean Data Clean integration with Excel. So first, you can use Excel to analyze data served through datasets. This feature is well known from Power BI. So you simply click on the dataset or report, and you can select Analyze in Excel option. In return, you just get an Excel file with predefined connection to the Power BI dataset, and you can right away use built-in pivot table shown in the file. But that's not all. You can also start in Excel or even Excel Online and discover promoted or certified datasets in your organization. Just go to the pivot table and select Get from Power BI, and you should see a list of datasets that your organization find as the most useful, and you can immediately start your pivot table. Then sometimes you need raw data to be available for your further analytics in Excel. So with export data available in Power BI reports, you can get underlying data just as is stored in dataset. You can get summarized data with the level of aggregation presented in the report, or even you can get the data with exact same layout as in the report. Well, not exact same, because it will not contain colors and icons, but hey, you know how to create them in Excel. Now, Often discussing insights from a specific report at the meeting is a part of bigger presentation supported with PowerPoint slides. So to avoid switching between different apps, you can simply embed an interactive Power BI report in your slide deck. Alternatively, you can also embed reports as static images. So you just click in the report on export PowerPoint, embed live data, and you have your PowerPoint containing built-in interactive Power BI report. Now that's not all, because what if you don't need the whole report in your slides, but only a specific visual? Well, we cover this scenario as well. Just open the report, click on the visuals header and select Share Open in PowerPoint, and this will embed the selected visual in the PowerPoint slide. So you can have just a single chart instead of your complex report. Let's switch the gear a bit and let's talk about collaboration. For me, collaboration means teams. And you want to discuss your report or data set in your team, just click on the click the chat on Teams button in the Fabric portal and select the team and start chatting with your peers on dataset or report. As easy as that. There's no need to switch teams to check the reports supporting your everyday work. You just simply add Power BI application to your teams, and you will see familiar user interface with all your Fabric items available. Even lakehouses. Well, lakehouses will open in the browser, but they are still visible in the interface of Power BI application in Teams, right? And you can open reports and data sets and other items that are typical for Power BI right in Teams. No need to switch between Teams and Power BI and Fabric portal. Okay. Also, you can attach your Power BI reports as a part of your team. So just add new tab and select the report that you're interested in and your team needs to work on, and you just have another tab in your channel. There is an option to discuss this report right away. So again, great way to collaborate on a specific report and exchange thoughts on the numbers visible in the report. And also recently we announced public preview of Data Activator experience in Fabric. With Data Activator, you can do the following. If you need to run some action based on data, you can trigger action. Just point to the visual, to its header, and trigger action based on the data that is actually showing up in this visual. And you can specify the rules for data alert, and then you can specify action that will be taken in response to the event. So for example, if my sales reaches the budget, I want to find out that this happened in Teams. So just send Teams message to me, or maybe to the group of my peers. And that's how it looks like in Teams. So again, great way to integrate with Teams. Fabric does it. Now let's just see a quick demo on how some of those capabilities look like. I will try to make it quite fast. Now let's go back to my demo workspace, and I have one Excel file that I want to import to my lakehouse and make it a table. So as you can see, there is some target data per country, per month, and years. Nothing very special, but let's go back to my workspace and let's create a new data flow generation 2. Why generation 2? Because this specific item will allow me to write data back to my lakehouse. So I will get data from Excel sitting on my OneDrive, and hopefully I will connect to my targets file, and I will point to existing table, the only table in this spreadsheet. Let me just do some transformation. So again, this is nothing new. This is Power Query that you may also use in Excel. but this Power Query experience is integrated in Fabric with other data items, like, for example, Lakehouse. So let me just quickly do some magic that you normally do using Power Query. I use first row as a header. Then I see that country needs to be transformed using fill down transformation. So I just fill down the countries to have all the countries fulfilled. Then I see that probably this data requires to be unpivoted. So let me unpivot by 2 columns selected. And then I simply rename year to year and target to target. Probably year requires also a data type to be adjusted, but that's it. So I have my table ready to load to the Lakehouse. Now, notice here in the bottom right corner, there's data destination. So I can define that this data, after all the transformation happens, lands in my Lakehouse as a newly created table, or as a table existing table that will be appended. So I will select my workspace demo, my demo Lakehouse, and let's call the table targets. And that's pretty much it. I will replace the existing table if it exists, of course. I will save it. Now the only thing I need to click is publish, and my data flow is saved, and it's actually being spin up, so it's running. In the meantime, let me switch to some existing pipeline just to show you that. So pipeline is for orchestration of how your data flow occurs. It may be scheduled in time. So it's classic that you use pipelines to orchestrate things. But here I have a pipeline that sends a notification. Hopefully it will open. That sends a notification to specific Teams group. So I'm using Teams activity that you can see here in Activities tab. Just drag and drop. And after the first step completes, I send a notification to Teams. Now, how does notification look like? It's this. And I'm not saying this is perfect, but you can use some parsing methods to get some information from it. Still, it's a readable format, JSON, so you can just read it as a human being, right? All right. And let me also show you how you can discover data sets in Excel. So let's start by switching to Excel here. And I will start a blank spreadsheet, blank workbook, sorry. Okay. And let's just go and do insert pivot table from Power BI. And that's it. You have Power BI datasets that are promoted or certified in your organization, available for search, and you can just do insert new pivot table with all the model details available, all the measures you created there. And I can see, for example, my total sales split it among different categories or whatever I require, right? So again, super easy way to work with your data, not just in native Fabric experiences, but also in Excel. Now let me make sure that my data from data flows landed in the Lakehouse, and that will be the end of my demo. Let's go back to the Lakehouse. And let's see if I was able to bring my Excel file to the Lakehouse. Yes, targets. As you can see, data can be easily previewed, and I can analyze the data using Fabric based on Excel data. Okay, so that's almost it. I have one more word for you. Call to action, next steps. If I got your interest in Fabric. Now, there are a couple of things you should do. First, if you don't want to write down all those links, go to this QR code. I mean, the link behind this QR code. This is one of my newsletter issues on LinkedIn, and you can easily find all those links in there. Now, to advise, what should you do? First of all, make sure you try Fabric. So there is a 60-day trial, no credit card. Just start your trial. Okay. Second, join the Fabric community to participate in discussions, find your user groups, online or existing in your location, and access valuable resources there. And then if you want to learn Fabric, I would encourage you to start with those two links. The first is a learning path that goes through Fabric step by step through basics, and then you can jump to end-to-end tutorials step by step that will guide you through scenarios like lakehouse, warehouse, data science, and real-time analytics. So things I for sure not covered in this session. Now that's it from my side. Let me take some questions. I believe there may be some questions about Fabric.
Oh yes, if it's all right with you, thank you very much. I've got to say that's the first real big demo I've seen of that. That's great. You put some effort into that. I'm doing my presentation later, and you're putting me to shame, I think. We've got some questions. I think Hank's already published 2 of them. I'll go with those first of all. So we'll start with favoritism from our next presenter here. Hank's actually asked you, is one security, will it be added in Excel? So if I have a table with RLS, it will be set to Excel as well?
No. The one security will work like this. You said actually, maybe let's switch to the experience. So there are a couple of things related to one security. One, you can manage access to specific workspaces, and here you have 4 predefined roles: admin, member, contributor, and viewer. Actually, the viewer is the only difference that you may see, because viewer just can access the data using SQL experience. People with viewer will not see the files in lakehouses and OneLake, right? Then for each of the runtimes, like for example warehouses, let me switch to warehouses, you will be able to define different methods of narrowing the visibility of data. You mentioned RLS, great way to narrow the things. So row level security. Let me maybe go to my sample warehouse here. I should have some example of how this can be achieved. But then if you export data to Excel, you will not see the row level security unless the data set goes directly to the warehouse. Okay, so if you connect to the data set, yes, everything that is defined on the data set or underlying serving layer will be actually respected. So yes, row level security, absolutely. Probably I could even. No, I will not give
Don't
a
worry,
demo.
we've got more
place,
questions
but
here.
Yeah,
we've got 3 more I'd like to try and
so
get
yes,
to.
it applies. It applies. Even I didn't mention that, but see here, I can label my data items. So that means, for example, that if I mark my data set as confidential, if you try to export some data to Excel, this Excel will also have the same label applied. So again, this is a great way to make your data more secure.
Okay, thank you. T has asked the question, is it possible to embed a Power BI report page into another Power BI report? And do you happen to know if page level security will be available soon?
That's a tricky question. The answer is yes and no. Yes, if you try to embed Power BI report, different types of Power BI reports. So paginated reports can be embedded in the Power BI in interactive Power BI report. Yes, there is a way for that. Other than that, I'd say probably if you use some third-party visuals like HTML, etc., that may be doable. Because hey, let's be honest. If you share or embed Power BI report, it's very much like embedding on the website, like iframing. So again, depends on requirements. But I would say if you require authentication, that may be tricky to embed one report in another. So
yeah, thank you. We've got the questions still coming here. So
Okay.
I'll see how many I can get through in the time before we hand over to Henk next. It's great that we're getting the questions. TC says, thank you for your presentation. He asks, sorry, maybe a she, I don't know. Is Copilot similar to ChatGPT? What are the
It is.
differences between them? And can Copilot answer any question outside Excel and more related to different careers? Just lots of questions for you there.
Yeah. So okay. Let's start. So first of all, yes, Copilot and ChatGPT, absolutely there are similarities. It's based on prompts. But I would say this: in Copilot, we need to be specific because Copilots are narrowed to specific use cases. For example, if you use a Copilot with notebooks, it's targeted towards helping you with Python code, maybe Spark SQL code, but for sure not with some other stuff, right? It will not tell you, who the 12th president of United States was, for example. I don't know. Maybe it could. So that's the difference. Now, how this impact careers? I'd say this: as soon as Copilot lands in experiences that you use, make sure you are familiar with its capabilities, because I'd say those people working with platforms supported with Copilots will get advantages if they use Copilot to increase their productivity. So that's it. It will not replace you, because hey, I don't think any Copilot will be able to understand the requirements of our customers.
No Copilot understands me, that's for sure. Thank you very much. Try and get 2 more questions in before we have to wrap this up. It's great. Tal has asked, hi Pawel, can you please provide some tips of writing prompts for Copilot? Can Copilot in Excel interact with other apps or Microsoft products?
Now that's difficult. I'd say it's not very much different from general purpose ChatGPT prompts. So you should be as specific as possible. Typically, it's great to position, who is working with Copilot and what Copilot should do for you, how to set the context of your discussion with Copilot. Let's call it discussion, right? So the more details you provide, the more it will advise to you. Now, for sure, Copilots in different experiences of Fabric will have access to things that Fabric contains, for example, data models, etc. So some of the things will be not that necessary to provide, but still all the practices you get from working with general ChatGPT apply to Copilot.
Great, thank you very much. And our final question, if there are any more questions, put them into the Q&A, and if Pawel's got time, he will happily answer them in the text afterwards, no problem. But I wanted to thank you for your time in any case. Tar asks, when I used Analyze in Excel, the date column was in text format, although it has data type in Power BI. Is it something expected, and how can I deal with this issue? He says he found this issue a few months ago, so not sure if it still exists. And apologise, Tar, I've given you the wrong gender.
No, it's okay. Bugs happen. If you see that there is something wrong, for sure you should report a bug. Basically, if you see that something is not working for you, the easiest way is to just make sure that we know about it and that you report it as a bug. If you're sure and you can reproduce it, then I would say report it as a bug. So I mean, maybe can I show the screen again?
By all means.
So
you've got about
Fabric,
a minute left.
I know. In Fabric, you just simply go to.
Just a second. Give it a moment. It's sharing now.
Okay. So in Fabric, you just go to the top right corner, and you have this option here, Get Help, which opens the support page, and then you can open a support ticket and report bugs for the different experiences of Fabric. So again, I wouldn't hesitate if you find that Excel file that is created by Analyzing Excel option is not aligned to the model itself. I would report it right away. Thanks.
Well, it's been a pleasure. I think this is the first time you've presented here, isn't it, at Excel Virtually Global?
It was.
Yes, I was going to say, so we've got Poland, we've got Australia here. I'm in Melbourne. We're about to go to the Netherlands next too. I want to say from everybody all around the world, all the people that are watching live and all the people that are going to see this recorded later, thank you very much. You put a heck of a lot of effort into that. And that's the best presentation I've seen on Fabric yet.